wrestling fans. My name is Brian Crazy.
I'm JC Styles.
And we're the F and brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com, back with our TNA Impact Wrestling review for June 7, 2012. Before we begin, please check out the official website of the F and brand, FightNationWrestling.com. All the various Twitters and YouTube pages that make up the F and brand of wrestling and entertainment will be listed in the description box below. Please check those out at your leisure. TNA Impact Wrestling tonight, I thought it was a pretty solid show. Could I have seen some things played off a little bit differently? Yes. But did it set the stage for the Slammiversary pay-per-view just a few days away? I think they did a pretty good job on their go-home show.
Yes, the wrestling was there for me. The in-ring segments, the contract signing, and just a little bit of the opening segment with Dixie Carter. I would have liked to have seen it maybe a little bit shorter, but we see footage from last week. Then we see post-impact footage of her freaking out, going to the production truck, and basically just wreaking havoc in the production truck, trying to find out who was responsible for playing that footage. And then we go to the ring, and we see Dixie standing in the ring.
Yeah, we go to the ring. Dixie's in the ring. She says that somebody's going to end up getting hurt, but she has to reveal the truth about the situation. She kind of throws his jab over at, Kazarian Daniels, and out comes Kazarian Daniels. This actually turns into kind of a physical confrontation. She ends up putting her hands on Daniels, and Daniels ends up pushing her right into the corner. Don't put your hands on me. I don't even know who you think you are. I don't care who you think you are. Out comes AJ Styles, who makes the save. He runs these two off, but then who else enters the ring? Surge, the president of TNA's husband. He gets into the ring. It looks like AJ wants to try to talk with him, and he just firm blow right towards AJ's face. They kind of cut the camera away at this point, so I don't know if he really made too much contact or not, but regardless, he sure swung at him, and I think it got the point across what he was trying to accomplish. Hey, you came near my woman, and you don't think this is going to stand.
Exactly. Then we go into the first opening match. We see the Crimson, and the streak is on the line versus the X Division champion, Austin Aries. Before Austin Aries makes his way to the ring, we see a little confrontation backstage between Austin Aries and Samoa Joe. I believe Samoa Joe believes that Austin Aries is talking smack and disrespecting Joe behind his back. Then the two kind of disregard some words. Austin Aries walks out to the ring, and it was a stellar match up until when we see Joe's ego get in the way and comes out.
Well, it's just setting up the storyline. It's just setting it up, and I think that's what and unfortunately, I think a lot of wrestling fans are tuning into these weekly shows expecting to get these huge stellar matches and to get these, wrestling classics on, advertised supported television, and it's not going to happen in this day and age. If you want to see a solid, decent wrestling match, you really have to wait to the pay-per-view. I mean, the matches on the television shows are just further building the matches that you're going to see showcased at the pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Now, do I think that that's a good business model? In a way. Would I like to see things a little bit different? In a way. Do I wish that we could tune in, every week and get at least one or two solid wrestling matches with good finishes that weren't just purely for the story, that wasn't just to build for the next week, but in the same right, this is what needs to be done to generate interest. If you give away your pay-per-view match on TV, then where are you going to be at with the pay-per-view? I've already seen this. Why do I want to pay for it? So you can imagine that we can turn this into a whole video just this topic alone. But this is a pretty good match, I do have to say. But Joe did come out. He got involved. Crimson ended up picking up the win. And post-match, he says he's been undefeated. I just thought this one little segment of his little promo he shot was interesting. He's been undefeated a lot longer than Goldberg, or that guy Goldberg, I think he referred to, or that Goldberg guy, whatever he referred to him as, and he issued an open challenge for the Slammiversary pay-per-view.
Yes. Then we move into a backstage segment. We see BH, Brooke Hogan, talking backstage with the fourth participants in the Fatal 4-Way #1 contendership for the Knockouts Championship at Slammiversary. We see her backstage talking with Velvet Sky, Mickey James, Tara, and Miss Tessmacher. Talks about how she promised a change in the Knockouts division. She also talked about media exposure, and that after the match later on in the night, Velvet was going to, I believe, Hollywood to star in some country singer's band music video.
Yeah, she was going to whatever location it was, but she was going to be part of God, I just had the name of this band on the tip of my tongue, but I honestly forgot. I apologize. But she was going on to star in a country music video. And you could tell Mickie James was a little upset by this. She was a little perturbed by this. You could tell by the look in her face that, she's the country music girl.
Yeah.
She's the one that's, been out there trying to push her albums and trying to make it in the music industry, not only in the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
She's been trying to do both, which I give her, hats off to her. It's always nice when you see someone expand outside the box. They do something bigger, and a lot of wrestling fans typecast these wrestlers into this role. They're either a wrestler or they're retired. They can't do anything else, and it's a damn shame. And you can tell she was a little upset here.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing with pro athletes, baseball, football, basketball. You have guys like, especially Johnny Depp, for example. Johnny Depp has a jazz band. Bernie Williams has a jazz band. You had so many athletes and actresses and actors who not only do the thing that they love, but they also are out in the media world doing music and touring the world.
Well, you know what? And it's not that they're not doing what they love. They just have many loves. Yes. And that's what it is, that they're willing
they're doing what they love with entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. They're just willing to take that risk. They're willing to go that extra mile. They're willing to fulfill themselves inside. They're willing to try, and that's the biggest thing that Mickie James has tried. I think that's the whole point we're trying to get across, and she was really disappointed that she was the one that didn't get that spot. But I think we dwelled on that little backstage segment just way too long. Then we see Hogan in the ring. Basically, Robert Roode comes down, and then Sting comes down. We see a confrontation between Sting and Robert Roode, and just furthering the build towards the match of Slammiversary for the world title. Do I like this match? I think it's a great match for a 10-year anniversary pay-per-view. The icon Sting has meant so much to TNA, and Robert Roode has been the face of TNA wrestling for the last several months. Yeah. But, in the same right, should this go to an up-and-coming star? Slammiversary, nostalgia pay-per-view, anniversary, Sting, probably the right choice, but for the next pay-per-view, we really need to start seeing the new talent getting pushed a little bit more, because just like the situation we're seeing over in WWE, Henry's out, this guy's out, this guy's out, this guy's out, and now they're scrambling to figure out who's going to be that next breakout star.
And then also, you got people taking time off, and that might be leaving.
Well, that's also a possibility too, but you got to think, once you put so many years of your life into something, I think just like anybody on this planet, it deserves a little R&R to recharge their batteries. But then we go into the Knockouts number one contender match. It's four-way action, like JC mentioned a little bit earlier in this video. Gail Kim is on commentary throughout this, and I do just have to make the point. Gail Kim, incredible, female competitor, but when she's on commentary, she sounds like a porn star. She's like, okay, but great match. Tess Monaco picks up the upset victory, and she's going on to Slammiversary.
Yeah. Before the match even starts, you see Mickie James come out. She's in the ring. You see Velvet comes out right after Mickie. She does her entrance. Then you see Tara come out, and she does her little leaning over the rope. And then you have Miss Tessmacher come out, and she pulls off her shirt, and then she throws the shirt over the camera. And the look on Mickie James's face is like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if either A, she thinks that she's gonna come back and then should be handed opportunities, or she has a major chip on her shoulder.
I think she's just playing her part well. And you gotta think, at the end of the day, this is a scripted show. And I think too many fans out there are trying to see more realism in it than it is. We like to approach our reviews with a sense of realism and also maintain a sense of kayfabe, because we like to sit back and enjoy the show for what it is. We don't try to pick apart everything. We don't try to bash on them. We don't try to insult these guys. If they go out there and put on a good performance, they deserve some respect, regardless if we like the gimmick or not. And, that's just the point we've been trying to drive home here for many years. But Tessmacher did pick up the upset victory. She's going on to Slammiversary. Then we go into the contract signing for Slammiversary between Joseph Park and Bully Ray. And this gets a little heated, and the monster ends up appearing on the big screen. Obviously, he can't be in two places at once, but it looks like Joseph Park will end up facing Bully Ray at Slammiversary in what's promised to be pretty much a no-holds-barred, insane contest between these two, which the character Joseph Park has absolutely no wrestling experience, but obviously it's Chris Park in disguise, and the Monster Abyss is one, excuse my language, guys, sick-ass competitor for the size that he is. Abyss has done things that most guys his size can't do.
Oh yeah. Before we go on to the next segment after the contract signing, my quick thoughts on the Knockouts match. Definitely solid. Don't have anything negative to say about this match, except for that it was Thursday night and we got the Knockouts. It's cool. It's very interesting to see the knockouts on Impact, even though over in WWE we haven't gotten to see the Divas on TV. It was good to see the females being represented on a wrestling show since the last couple of weeks.
Well, that's the one nice thing about TNA is usually on a weekly basis they feature the knockouts in some sort of capacity. Usually we get a match, sometimes it's just a little backstage segment, but they always try to remind the viewers, the fans of TNA, that the knockouts are there. And like in WWE right now, we haven't seen the Divas in several weeks. I know they were featured on Superstars last week, if I'm not mistaken. You know, you usually get a pretty solid Divas match on NXT, but when we're talking about the core WWE shows, Raw and SmackDown, we really haven't seen too much Divas action, and that's after they were pushing the Divas division so hard, it seemed like, for a few weeks. We had a new champion in Layla. We had great matches on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, it was just interesting how, you know, it just turns around. But then we... Go for it.
Following the contract signing, we see a backstage segment with Garrett Bischoff talking to Devon, saying, hey, you know, Robbie T's going to be out there in Robbie E's corner. Let me go out there and, you know, make sure that this match goes down accordingly. Devon goes and says, you know, hey, I respect that. You know, I really like you. You're a good kid. Then we go into the match. We see Devon pick up the win, successfully retaining his television championship. When we see a little role reversal in the match, we see Rob Terry, as the referee's distracted, get in the ring during a small package and throw over Devon so Robbie E's on top. Then Garrett gets in the ring and reverses that to make Devon on top, and that's how we see the outcome of the match and Devon retaining.
Exactly. It's kind of been an interesting situation between all these competitors. We've seen the rift kind of form between Robbie E and Robbie T in previous weeks, and then it seems like it kind of just disappeared. And it was kind of interesting to see these two go back and forth, but unfortunately Robbie T really just doesn't have too much of a role right now. Is it the point to break them out? I think they're getting close to it. I think they need a little more star power in this division. I think between Devon, Garrett, Robbie T, and a few others, this, you know, revitalized TV title division could really be something to be reckoned with. Yes. I mean, weekly title defenses. This is like it was back in the old WCW NWA days with the TV title. We had weekly defenses. And I do have to say, I'm enjoying it.
Definitely, I have nothing negative to say about that. Then we move into a in-ring segment, which leads to a triple threat for the #1 contendership for the TNA World title at Slammiversary. I believe Anderson came out and talked about how he should be World Heavyweight. He should get a shot at the champion. Then Hogan comes out, and those two basically get exchange words. Then we hear the fans start chanting asshole, and he goes, well, I'm sorry, you got assholes interrupting you, Hogan, I'm sorry. And then RVD comes out, and followed by Jeff Hardy, and that's when we see Hogan make this big blockbuster announcement for the upcoming Slammiversary pay-per-view.
Exactly. All these men want to be the #1 contender, and they're going to get to battle it out Sunday night. They're going to get to find out who is going to be the #1 contender, and that man will go on to next week's Live Impact and face the World's Heavyweight Champion, whoever it may be, Sting or Robert Roode. Then we go into the main event. It is Sting, AJ, and Kurt Angle versus Kazarian, Daniels, and Robert Roode. And right off the rip, AJ Styles isn't coming down to the ring when his music's played. Earlier in the night, Hulk Hogan pretty much demanded he made his way back to the Impact Zone, and he went on to calling him a son of a bitch. I mean, plain and simple, just like that. Hogan is very upset with the situation that is now surrounding. You know, his whole reign as general manager has been surrounded with a lot of controversy between Robert Roode and now this. And there's just so many things that are working against Hulk while he tries to, in the storyline, of course, make Impact a better place. Basically, we'll cut it short and sweet. AJ does end up coming back. Sting, AJ, and Angle are successful after Sting wins, if I'm not mistaken, Scorpion Deathlock.
Yes, we see that. And I actually like how Sting is applying the Scorpion Deathlock again, because it was months ago when he was back, when he was the Insane Icon, and he was, I believe, was running the show. He wasn't selling the applying of the sharpshooter, or the Scorpion Deathlock, very well. Tonight he sold it very well, and it looked like how it originally was applied back in the early 90s.
I honestly never picked up on that. Maybe it's something that you noticed that I didn't. I mean, every time I see Sting, he looks like the polished professional that he always has been. Regardless if he's 50 years in age, I still think he outdoes half the current TNA, WWE roster combined. And there's a lot of, you know, internet marks out there that are going to go, oh, Sting's too old, Sting's this, Sting's that. Sting is an incredible talent. He is a very, very, very determined individual. He is very loyal, and he has helped TNA Wrestling go from a very small organization to now being something that's much larger, something that is going to be a force to be reckoned with in future years, and it is only getting bigger, it is only getting better. And TNA, 10 years, congratulations. I'm glad to have been part of some of the moments that you guys have brought to us. I know JC is as well. And guys, thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for being loyal fans and subscribers of the F and brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com. My name is Brian Crazy.